We're started.
All right. Welcome to Cupcakes and Hot Takes Part 5.
Episode 5.
We made it to 5 whole episodes.
Yeah.
Today we are reviewing The Dark Knight Rises. Oh, by the way, I'm Maral.
I'm John.
We are the usual hosts. Maybe we'll have like a guest host one of these days. That'll be fun.
Yeah, we gotta find the right one.
Yeah, has to be someone who's got this similar taste, you know?
Or it doesn't even have to be a similar taste. It's someone with
good
movie.
criticisms and opinions. All right, yeah, that's an idea.
Yeah.
Hopefully we fixed the volume issues with our music. Last time the music was way too loud.
Yeah, sorry again about that.
Yeah, but hopefully we fixed it this time around.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it.
All right, Dark Knight. What do you rate it, John?
Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises, sorry.
Yeah, so initially I gave it a... hold on, let's talk about the intro first.
Oh, shit. Okay, intro us.
Yeah, The Dark Knight Rises. Gotta follow the...
Yeah, sorry, gotta follow the timeline.
Outline. Alright, so The Dark Knight Rises, released on July 20th, 2012, sorry.
Right after I graduated high school.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one came out right before I started high school, so it was kind of like a little bookend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it had a budget of $230 million and also made over $1 billion worldwide. So it did
very
well
popular.
At the, box office.
Yeah. Do you remember the shooting that happened on the release day?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
A baby died.
Yeah.
Because they took a literal infant. Listen, I'm not trying to blame the victim. It's truly horrific and sad that this baby died, and there was no reason the baby should have died. But who brings an infant to a midnight premiere of a loud, long movie?
I was at the midnight premiere for Deadpool, and there was an infant
Really?
crying in the theater.
Really?
Yeah.
Incredible. People shouldn't be allowed to bring them in. Like, the theater employees should be able to be like, no.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway, I digress.
all right. You want to go into the synopsis about the movie?
Sure, we follow Batman. What? 4 years?
8 years after.
8 years after the events of The Dark Knight, where Batman has been missing for several years and nowhere to be seen. And at which point a new villain arises, Bane, who successfully kind of takes the entire city/island hostage with a big...
Spoiler alert.
Why is that a spoiler alert?
They don't know if Bane takes the whole thing hostage.
I think it's relatively early in the film. Well, anyway, I'll just leave it at that. He takes the city hostage. I'm not going to say with what or how. Leave it at that. Bane comes in.
Alright, so with that said, what are your initial grades or thoughts about the movie?
Initially, I wanted to rate it higher, but like thinking more about the film, because we meant to do this podcast last week and we were too busy. But now it's been 2 weeks, and I think giving it like 2 weeks. And also remember watching it the first time. You know, like the first Dark Knight, I was like, man, I wish I could watch this again for the first time, you know. Watching this again, watching Dark Knight Rises for the second time, I'm like, this is boring. I remember why I fell asleep during the midnight premiere the first time. I'm going to give it an 8.1 Cupcakes out of 10.
Wow.
I know.
Yeah.
Usually you're the harsh critic here.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8.3.
Oh, you're gonna bring it down a little bit. On paper, it says 8.4.
I mean, they can't see that. What's it?
I think it's pertinent. You're adjusting your...
Yeah, but you were gonna give it a 9 point something the first.
No.
Last week.
I wasn't gonna give it a 9 point something. I think I was gonna give it like an 8.8 or something like that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, significantly high.
I went down 0.1. You went down 0.9.
Almost a whole point, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Meanwhile, Rotten Tomatoes over here gives it an 87%.
Yeah, they will give it an 8.7.
Yeah.
Which isn't too far off.
It's not too far off.
But I guess me and Rotten Tomatoes...
Why don't you put a Metacritic then?
No, because I want to show the world what Rotten Tomatoes has to say compared to what I have to say. So.
Well, let's talk about the Academy Awards. Usually you like to do that part.
All right. So during the 85th Academy Awards, no surprise, it wasn't nominated for anything.
I believe it is the only Christopher Nolan Batman film with no nominations, correct?
I don't know. I have to look back for the first one.
Okay.
But yeah, there's no nomination for it.
The last one had so many.
Yeah, I mean,
it was significantly better.
it was significantly better. Yeah, but there's the other just important movies that came out that year that it competed against. There's Argo, which won Best Picture. But
I haven't seen.
I don't understand why. Then again, if you look at the nominations, was there really much of a choice?
Django Unchained.
Let's see. There's Amour, Beasts of the Southern Wild, Django Unchained, Les Miserables, Life of Pi, Lincoln, Silver Linings Playbook, and Zero Dark 30.
I think out of all of those, I think the only one that I like is Django Unchained.
Honestly, I think The Dark Knight Rises was better than a few of those that were nominated. But what are you gonna do, right?
I tried to watch Silver Linings Playbook, and I was like, ugh. I just don't like Jennifer Lawrence, so.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Jennifer Lawrence either. Oh, hello, Legion.
She loves to make an appearance on these things.
Yeah, she's always trying to see what we're up to. But, yeah, so there wasn't nominated for any awards. Again, not much of a surprise, and we're going to go into that a little bit later.
But not crazy competition either.
Yeah. Competition was very mediocre at best.
Yeah.
Overall. But, so fair warning, starting at this point, if you haven't seen the movie and you would like to, without spoilers, pause or turn us off right now, and then go watch the movie, and then you can come back and watch us.
Good point. Come back and watch us.
Yeah, because this is where spoiler territory will begin.
Yes.
All right.
Ready to start talking about likes and dislikes?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I will say, first off, before we get into anything, I did like this movie.
Okay.
It was fun. And that's something really important to distinguish for movies, at least to me, is movies that are fun and you enjoy versus what's a good movie are two very different things.
I think that I didn't like this film, but I enjoyed the memes that came out of it.
Okay, fair enough. Oh.
There was a lot of good memes that came out of this film.
Oh man, the memes.
More than the other one even. I think this one has the most. So let's keep going.
Yeah. Okay, so the movie starts off, there's a plane scene. There is a Dr. Pavel, he's on the plane, and Bane...
Physicist, right? Nuclear
Yeah, he was a nuclear physicist. And Bane and a couple other League of Shadow mercenaries are all on the plane with them, and it was like a big trap to get to Dr. Pavel. So, like, straight off the bat, it's another fun opening scene. It's not as fun and hectic and chaotic as The Dark Knight with the Joker. Then again, maybe that was kind of planned. Like, okay, let's not make it as chaotic, because that's who the Joker would be.
Right. It was definitely interesting watching it, because the introduction felt really synonymous to the Dark Knight. Introducing the villain in a fun, cool way. Big bang. Start off with a bang,
Yeah, but there's just so many things. Even with the beginning scene, there's things
just
that
can't compete.
No, not even that. Just I couldn't get my head wrapped around, right? For example, it's a government plane, right? CIA, I believe.
Yes, they had just... It was Littlefinger that had...
From Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But how are they not going to notice a bigger plane coming close to them, right?
In immediate vicinity.
Right? Yeah, in the immediate vicinity. Well, they don't got any type of...
Sonars
or anything, radar or anything like that. And on top of that, right, so they grab Dr. Pavel, they put a IV in him, pull out maybe what?
A bag's worth of blood.
Not even a bag's worth of blood, and put it inside a fake body. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, how is that a little bit amount of blood in a fake body going to convince an entire government agency,
especially like
the CIA, that that's actually Dr. Pavel, right? Because later in the movie,
and also like fingerprints.
fingerprints,
teeth,
dental
nothing.
record, hair, just other DNA samples. What, they only gonna check that little amount of blood in that very specific part of the arm?
It's just like they went into too much detail. Like they were like, oh, we should like think ahead about like the DNA, but then like by going into the detail, you're opening a bigger can of worms. Into like, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. So even like the beginning scene, I'm just like, wait a minute, hold on, what's up? Hold up, time out. How's this even plausible, right? So like, yeah, again, it was fun to watch, but a little too ridiculous. But kind of, I want to talk about this before we go.
Okay.
But one not good thing was we got to see Tom Hardy's Bane right in the beginning. With it, one of his.
He did a great job.
One of his most iconic lines, and no one cared who I was until I put on the mask. Right. Tom Hardy was definitely the highlight of the movie. He did an amazing job as Bane.
He did. He's very charismatic.
Yeah.
He gained 30 pounds of muscle.
Yeah, 30.
For this role.
Yep, stacked 30 pounds of muscle.
I legit told John, like, oh, did they use a body double for Bane? And they just used, like, Tom Hardy's face? Because that's what they did in one of the X-Men films, was they used someone's body and they used someone's face and they used another person's voice, right? And they stacked all those bodies together. So I was like, oh, obviously that's what they did for Bane, because he was so huge.
Nope, it was all Tom Hardy.
It was all Tom, like, natural. Well, maybe not natural, but who knows?
Yeah, we don't know if he was juicing or not, but yeah, that was all Tom Hardy.
And then he wore 3-inch lifts to be bigger.
Yeah, he's only 5'9".
Yeah, can you imagine 30 pounds of muscle?
Yeah.
At 5'9", like, he was yoked.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of having such a good Bane is we had to hear all the shitty Bane impressions.
Oh my god, just that year, 2012, especially like Halloween.
Oh my god.
When everyone was dressing up and there's so many Banes and
all the people there are like,
yeah.
Nobody cared. Oh my god, you can't do the Bane voice, okay?
Yeah. I was born in the dark. It's like, oh my god, just shut up, my guy. Right? Just so many. Like, I'm not good at it. I fully admit that. Right?
Yeah,
but
I'm not out here trying.
Yeah, I'm not like running around trying to act like Bane. I had so many friends that are like
trying to.
I am the League of Shadows, and I was like, oh sweet Jesus.
Yeah, just anyway.
But other than Tom Hardy, I felt like all the other actors and actresses were just very.
Well, I mean, we're
okay.
We've got Christian Bale, who is consistently great.
Well, yeah,
everyone else who has already been, set, like Gary Oldman, still a good, much smaller role in this film, but still a good commissioner now, Gordon.
Just got blown on the side.
Sure, but the new characters that we see, like Anne Hathaway's Selena Kyle.
Selena Kyle, yes.
Right? She plays Catwoman. What did you think about her, John?
She was very okay.
Yeah, I didn't care for her. I know watching it, guys were in love with her. Everyone was like, oh man, Anne Hathaway. She did look good. She looked great.
Yeah, but that was it.
But I don't think, she, resonated that character well.
Yeah, she was not.
She was
overall, I think she's an average actress from what I've seen of her.
She wasn't cool and sneaky and she didn't give me that vibe.
Yeah, a lot of guys were like, oh, Anne Hathaway in a latex suit, and I was just like, oh lord.
Listen, better than Halle Berry? Yes.
That's not saying much.
A good Catwoman? No.
She's probably my second to least favorite Catwoman. Julie Newmar is my favorite Catwoman.
Julie Newmar is a great Catwoman.
Yeah. And she's my personal favorite.
Anyway, Joseph Gordon-Levitt comes in and joins the crew. Generally, I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. In this one, he was just kind of annoying. I don't know.
I feel like Joseph Gordon-Levitt only is good at playing that very niche role.
Of nerdy.
Of that nerdy.
Cool, but kind of cool.
Kind of cool guy. I mean, look at like the roles he plays. There's like 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah.
You know, there was 10 Things I Hate About You, Inception. There was
You're right. He really is like that nerdy, but kind of cool. Cool for a nerdy guy.
Yeah, that movie where he had cancer, like 50-50.
That we don't talk about that. That's not that good of.
No, I'm just saying, just that role. If he plays that role, he's fine.
Yeah.
But anything else, you know.
Well, in this role, he's like a cop who's cool and like works really hard, but like had a really rough upbringing. Is like filled with a lot of hatred in his heart. He talks about, you know, how he knew who Batman was because they had a similar orphan upbringing. And
Which
I
didn't like that either. That was just terrible storytelling.
And I'm just saying, like, he was just like really rough and like tough kind of character, but like he doesn't pull it off that well.
No, he doesn't. Sorry, kind of going. I hated the fact that at the end of the movie, with Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, that he, you know,
when the receptionist is like, I prefer your real name.
No, she's like, maybe you should use that real name. And the fact that they named him Robin, right? That would be if Bruce Wayne's superhero alter ego was named Bruce. Okay? I'm Bruce, right? It just made no sense. They should have just said Dick, right? Dick Grayson, right? You should use my real name, Dick Grayson, which, would have been like plenty of reason why you wouldn't use that as your real name.
Your name's Dick?
Yeah, right? Plenty of reason why I wouldn't use that as my real name. And B, it would have just been like a nice little treat for like comic book fans, you know?
For those that don't know, Dick Grayson was the original Robin.
Yes, he was the original Robin, Dick Grayson.
Before he dies.
Oh, yeah, that's a spoiler in a different universe, or different timeline, but
so, yeah. I agree that it should have been like, they should have done a little nugget, but I definitely think that's why they did Robin. So that fans could be like, oh, Batman and Robin.
Yeah, well, just to appeal to the masses.
So they knew.
Which is what I truly believe is wrong with the Hollywood movie and cinematic industry these days. They're always just trying to cater, make everyone happy. They're not trying to give good storytelling. They're always just telling and just make everyone happy, you know. But you know, it doesn't add any of that specialty. But that's, again, we'll dive into that more.
That's a whole nother.
When we get into more of these movies here, especially the ones that are more recent.
What about the other new character? I think her name was.
That is
Miranda.
Yeah, Marion
Marion Cotillard.
Yeah, Cotillard. Sorry.
She's French.
She was okay. She was solid.
I liked her. I thought she had a certain.
Yeah, she was more better than bad. But I just can't get over when she dies at the end.
It was awful.
She goes, or I forget what her last line was. She says something.
Yeah, she literally goes.
She just slumps down like this immediately, and I was like, wait a minute. What kind of acting is that?
I didn't notice it the first time, but the second time when we watched it, I had to laugh. It was so funny. But otherwise, besides that terrible death scene, which is tragic that was her last scene, besides that, she had a great presence in the film. I think she was better than Maggie Gyllenhaal, which is the other female character in Dark Knight.
Yeah. Yeah, she was definitely an upgrade, but like I said, she was solid. You know, I wouldn't give her an A, but you know, a solid B.
Yeah, I'd even give her a B+. So that's the new actors.
Yeah. Well, and so you know, yeah. So that's our first take on the acting. But next, I would like to talk about the sound editing. We got to preface this with we did watch it on Blu-ray.
So we tried to do it with as high quality as we had access to.
Yeah, and you know, Blu-ray is supposed to be the top of the line.
At home.
I mean, I guess it's 4K now, but yeah. But I even remember watching this. I had this exact same experience in the movie theater. I just remember it sticking out so bad. The sound editing on this movie is horrendous.
It is. It's actually bad. Like, actually bad.
Yeah, like Bane's voice for some reason is like 10 times louder
So I did a little
than
research.
anyone else's voice. Yeah.
It is really loud in comparison to anything. But the research that I did, apparently, when they did the initial filming and everything, they had, you know, Bane's mask and everything. When they premiered it to, like, test audiences, nobody could understand what he was saying. So they had to reshoot his audio. And I think that's what messed... I mean, like, any audio engineer worth his salt would be able to match the audio. But, like, clearly they didn't. But that's why it's so different, is all I'm trying to say. That's why it sounds so different, is because they had to reshoot all his audio.
I mean, that makes sense. But like I said, if you could just tone down the volume on the new recordings, even a little bit. Like, I was constantly changing the volume up and down, up and down. It was like the worst when he was talking to someone. It's like, there's no, like when they're in the stock market, the guy's like, there's no money here. Then why are you here? You know, it was just super loud, and I was like, oh my god.
It was super loud.
Even the music, the same thing. I had a lot of issues. The music.
And the sound effects, like the shootings and the bombs and stuff like that, like being super loud. And then like the next scene when someone's talking, you have to like change the volume all the time.
Yeah, it was just frustrating. So the sound editing, terrible.
Even we are attempting to edit our sound, and we are not professionals. So.
Yeah.
You would think someone who's making, well, maybe not millions, but a lot of money in the Hollywood industry.
Yeah, especially, you know, like the third movie in Batman trilogy.
A very successful trilogy.
Yeah, a successful trilogy, and then especially with all the accolades from the second movie, you know, you think they could have found a guy half worth his salt, as you said, but.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
So yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
Another thing that I found bad is the second one was filmed in the city of Chicago. And like I said, I just had a sympathetic heart and eye to Chicago. I think Chicago is a beautiful city. The second one was filmed in Pittsburgh and just didn't look as nice.
Yeah.
It just... Like I said, maybe it's because I'm from Chicago, I'm just being sympathetic to it, but like the scale of the city didn't feel as big. It didn't have as much of like the gothic, like there's some gothic architecture in Chicago that's very dramatic and like high contrast and cool architecture. And our bridges are bigger. Like they have these little rinky-dink bridges that, because like, what's the city called? Gotham.
In the movie. Yeah,
so Gotham is like in like a island type thing, right? And so they have all these bridges that connects out. And so these bridges are like these little rinky-dinky little bridges. They could have at least like filmed those in like Manhattan or something, you know?
Yeah.
Gotten some great like bridge shots, but...
Yeah, and I initially thought the movie was filmed in New York when I first saw it. You know, especially with the
you would think,
with all the bridges. It looked just like what's that? Staten Island?
Yeah.
Is it Staten Island?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't remember. Yeah, but it looked just like that, and I was like, oh, okay, they must have filmed that in Staten Island.
I think they got some of their like wide shots there, but most of it was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, but the scenery and just like even the buildings,
just didn't give you that same scope of a city story, you know, because that's what I love so much about the second one was it's the drama of a city, right? It's the story of Gotham. Yeah. And so like the city's its own character.
Yeah, it is, especially Gotham. Of all the DC cities, Gotham is definitely...
a whole character. And so like to change it or reduce that character is just sad. It's not good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so that's one of my hang-ups with this film. Made me sad.
Yeah. Also, but just kind of like our hang-up with the film. There's so many plot holes and just like issues that we're gonna dive into now. So sorry if it seems like we're ranting.
Like John has said before, the more pages of notes he has, the worse the film is. Yeah. So the longer our episodes are, generally, the more we didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I believe this is the lowest scoring film we have.
No.
No?
No, I saw the list. There's some worse movies. And
No. So far.
Oh, so far, yes.
Yeah.
This
As
is,
of episode 5
as of episode 5, this is the lowest rated episode or movie. So
that we reviewed, yeah.
yeah.
We already saw 12 Angry Men as well, so we might be doing that one shortly after this one.
Yeah.
But go on with those plot holes.
First plot hole. Bruce Wayne is limping with a cane in the beginning of the movie, right? You know, he's injured in all those years of being Batman. He goes to a doctor, and the doctor straight up said, yeah, you have 0 cartilage in your knees.
He goes, I've seen worse cartilage. And Bruce is like, oh, that's good, right? And he's like, well, it means because you have no cartilage.
Yeah, right? And so it makes a lot of sense that he's injured, he's limping, right? You know, he's aged. And then...
It's 8 years later.
8 years later, which I never understood. Why didn't they just make it 4 years later? It would have been better with the timeline of the actual release, but whatever. So they...
To make it more dramatic, I guess.
There's no difference, in my opinion, but... So... You know, Alfred designs like this mechanical like knee brace, right, that lets him walk around and kick things.
Kicks like a hole in the wall.
Yeah, kicks like a hole in the wall, right?
Like a cement wall too, not like a drywall.
Yeah. And then later in the movie, right, Batman is captured and thrown into a prison, and he's obviously stripped of everything, but you know, and given some prison clothes, and somehow he walks around. Ever since that point in the movie, he walks around perfectly fine. As if there's nothing ever wrong with his leg. And he even, like climbs the wall and makes the jump, right? That no issues with his leg whatsoever. Just disappeared.
And also, like, they also said, like, his shoulders and his elbows are in incredibly bad condition. So it's not just his knees. And also, like I said, spoiler alert, he gets Bane broken. His back breaks, you know. So there's a lot of physically things wrong with him.
See, like, all that stuff I don't even mind. Like, the back, yeah, he gets healed. You know, like, his arms, like, he's still fighting and stuff, right? So he's still in somewhat good shape. But the knee, he literally couldn't walk.
No cartilage, yeah.
Yeah, without a cane. Or that enhancement, or that knee brace thing. And here he is, you know, normal as day.
Yeah, we watch My 600 Pound Life a lot because it's a lot of fun. A lot of dramatic stuff happens. But these people are 600, 700, 800 pound people, and they have reduced their cartilage down to very little. Even they have some cartilage in compared to Bruce Wayne, and they talk about how every step is torture for them and how they can't get past 20 steps a day, you know, because of the lack of cartilage in their knees and stuff like that. And so, like, seeing him just running around, fighting Bane.
Like I said, even when he fights Bane afterwards, he has the suit back on, so he probably got another knee brace. Even that, starting that
You're
point.
just talking about jumping out of the prison.
No, just being in the prison, period. That whole time, he's, like, after he heals his back, he was walking around,
you're
perfect,
right.
bright as day, right? And speaking of that prison scene, when Bruce Wayne does get out of the pit, why does he throw the rope back down?
Because the other guys want to get out.
What do you mean? They're prisoners.
Are they, though?
The doctor...
Marion Cotillard's character...
Okay, this is, like, this current time, right? Like, other than the doctor, who's being paid by Bane to keep Bruce Wayne alive, right? So clearly he has access to just get out. All the rest of them were probably real prisoners.
Are they, though?
Why wouldn't they be?
They're clearly saying that this is a corrupt jail system that puts people in there.
They're still prisoners. Most of them, I'm sure. Like, even, Natalia, right? Like, her mother was thrown into prison, but that's because the warlord, or the mercenary was supposed to be thrown in prison.
Her husband.
Right? And she took his place. That's the only reason she was there.
Well, it's based off of the original Bane character, who was born in prison.
Yeah.
And forced to finish out his father's sentence.
Yeah. I will say that was a twist in the movie I did not see coming. As a comic book fan, you know, Bane is the one who was born in prison. So when they did switch, I was like, oh, okay.
You know, I should have realized it because Bane's character says, I have not seen the light until I was a man, right? And then He specifically says he didn't get out of the prison until he was a man. And then in the story, the child breaks out of the prison, right? And I was like, well, duh, I should have known that wasn't Bane. He straight up said.
Yeah.
But it was a nice twist. I liked it.
Yeah, so it was a nice twist. I was gonna say something about that whole thing and Bane, but hopefully I'll remember it later.
Alright.
Let's see, other plot holes. This is a small one, but it's still bothering me. The stock exchange scene when Bane goes and robs them. It's lunchtime.
We know this because that guy orders lunch.
Yeah, that one guy ordered lunch.
And that's how they get in.
Yeah, that's how they get in, right? And they say it needs 8 more minutes to download the program. When they leave the facility, it is bright, broad daylight. I mean, it's not sunny because it was a cloudy day, I think, but it was daylight. And 8 minutes, not less than 8 minutes, because it turns total darkness before it's finished downloading.
When they're doing the police chase.
Yeah, it's nighttime, like blackout night, like middle of the night, right? Oh, I was just like, wait, what happened?
I didn't even notice that until John pointed out, and I was like, that is weird. What the heck? And also, the stock exchange closes at what, 3 o'clock, right?
No, 4:30 p.m. on the East Coast.
Oh, is it 4:30? I thought it was 3. Well, anyway, the statement still stands. It got really dark really fast. It's like they lost track.
Or they just wanted Batman to come out at night. That's all it was.
I mean, Batman looks a lot stupider in the day.
Yeah,
he looks a lot cooler in the dark and at night, so...
Yeah, just other things. Like I said, just all these different issues I had. So the bomb, right? So Bane, set up a bomb, an atomic bomb, with a 6-mile radius explosion, which the Dr. Pavel says. So at the end of the movie, right, Batman needs to take the bomb away from the city. Right, he's gonna sacrifice himself, take his plane. And fly off with the bomb. But the last time we see the bomb, right, there's 117 seconds left before the bomb detonates.
And that's before he even leaves.
Right? So that's the last time we see it. Before that, or after that, he hooks up the bomb to his jet. He kisses Catwoman. He reveals to Gordon that he's Bruce Wayne. Right?
And not just like, I'm Bruce Wayne, real quick. He was like, thank you for taking your coat.
No, it was like, yeah, a hero can be someone who puts a coat around a child.
When they had the worst night of their life.
Yeah, he has a whole line,
right? Yeah, like a long speech.
Yeah. And not only that, he wasn't even at the edge of the city, right? So he had to fly up and around buildings, right? Because they're like under an underway, right? And to go 6 miles in 117 seconds, give him the full time, and assuming he not only went this speed at the start, right?
And did a perfect beeline.
And then a perfect beeline went straight, without around the buildings, which he clearly did. He had to go minimum 184 miles per hour.
John did the math.
Right? And the bomb would have still just hit the edge, because that's just 6 miles, right? And he was way off in the distance, right? And again, all that time that I gave him extra time. Realistically, he probably had like a minute left after all that, right? So that's at least double the speed, minimum. And then to go all that distance. So either A, someone forgot that the bomb had a 6-mile radius. Right?
Or his little jet thingy goes really, really fast.
Yeah, or something goes absolutely ridiculous. Honestly, like, sure, when they stop the bomb, Natalia goes like, doesn't matter, he bought Gotham 11 minutes, right? They could have easily made that, like, 38 minutes, right? Like, 40 minutes time, right?
They wanted it to be tight.
Yeah, they wanted it to be tight, right? But it did not have to be 11 minutes left and make this ridiculous and, you know...
And speaking of that 11 minutes, I really don't like that, like... So, the plot of this film takes place of, like, 4 months? How long is it?
So, from when the bomb is started, it's 6 months, I believe.
6 months, that's right. It was a ridiculously long time. So, not only are they sending the cops food, clean clothes. Because these cops are trapped underground, right? And so they have to send these cops food. Somehow the people have enough food to maintain themselves for 6 months because nobody's going in or out of the city, right? You cannot tell me that a city by itself can sustain itself for 6 months.
No, I think they made
without
connection
supplies.
with the U.S. National Guard
Oh, so
to
they
get
were able
food
to
in,
bring
yeah.
food. I don't know. It would have been like wild times. You tell me that a city is told that they're about to be blown up
No, they
at any given point.
No one tells the citizens that the bomb will detonate in 6 months. That's a secret.
Yeah. But like, I'm saying, like, they are told that one of the citizens in the city has the detonator to the bomb, and that it could go off at any given point, right? If that were the case, there would be crime, rank, and murder everywhere. It would be crazy. But instead, like, the cities are just like empty. People are just in their homes.
I mean, there's some crime. You know?
It would be a lot.
Yeah, it would be a lot
It would
worse.
be insane.
Yeah.
And like, just the length of time, 6 months. And then at the end, Marion Cotillard is like racing to detonate the bomb. Cause she's like, oh shoot, Batman's back. Why did they wait for Batman?
I mean, they didn't think Batman would get out, period.
But like, I don't know. It's just like ridiculous that they like waited for 6 months and all of a sudden everyone was racing to detonate the bomb. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, you think someone, like Bane would have someone stationed at the prison to keep an eye on Batman and report back.
Yeah. They placed him there and then they were just like, well, I broke his back, so he's probably dead. But then they kept him alive. But then there's Pikachu face when he comes back. Even though they literally put a doctor there to fix him. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, just ridiculousness. Let's see, what else was weird? When Gordon gets captured and he gets exiled, right? You know, they're out on the ice, right? And Batman's already out there, right? There's like a what's those called? With the fire, the stick of fire in an emergency situation.
Oh,
Flares, right? There's like a flare, and Batman's like, light it up, right? And Gordon just throws it on. Apparently, there's a bunch of gasoline or something, right? Mm-hmm. And it goes up to the main.
He had like set a line.
Bridge, right? There's a line, and there's a giant bat symbol on fire on the bridge, right? Which can be seen from like across the entire city.
I just imagined him like painting in the middle of the night.
When did he set that up?
He was like, wait, this is gonna look so cool when I come back.
You know what? It makes me think that when Batman got out of the prison, he got back to Gotham, had like a week, right? And he's like, okay, I gotta paint gasoline.
I gotta prepare for this.
I gotta paint a bunch of gasoline on this bridge, so it's gonna look freaking epic. Right? It's like, yeah, fuck
because
this.
Alfred's not here at this point, right? So he's all alone, straight up.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I just painting in the middle of the night, like, this is gonna look so epic when Gordon lights this tomorrow.
As if he knew that, like, Gordon was gonna be there. So, on top of that, assuming, like, he wouldn't know where Gordon would be, he had to create gas lines all around the city in case he wanted to find Gordon.
And this gas line is on ice, too, so, like, he's endangering Gordon's life.
Yeah.
Potentially, because the whole point of, like, walking out on the ice is to, like, fall through it and die. It's a punishment.
Yeah.
So, it's just ridiculous.
Let's see. Let's see, a couple more things.
Yeah, let's fly through these a little quicker.
Sorry, yeah, let's go through these a little quicker. When Robin helps, open up the tunnel to let the Gothamites, I don't know what else to call
the police?
No, that was to open the tunnel to let people out,
okay,
right?
okay.
That's to let people escape. Batman gives him like this tiny little bomb, and he throws it, and then comes the giant jet to blow it open. What was the point of that little bomb?
I read some comment that was like, it was to inform the people to back up.
What people?
I was like, that was not. I think that's reaching.
Let's see. Oh yeah, and then at the end of the movie when Bruce Wayne is dead, right? And Alfred decides to go to Florence because he went there every year, and he sees Batman or Bruce Wayne on the other side of the restaurant, right? I'm there thinking this man had to stalk Alfred, right, every day until he finally left for Florence, hoping he would go to Florence himself, and then sit at that restaurant every day
with Selena Kyle.
Right? And assuming exactly where Alfred was going to sit, which maybe he reserved that table for Alfred.
And
right?
by the way, he doesn't say which restaurant either. He just says a small bistro on the
river of the Arno.
Yeah,
Arno?
the river of the Arno in Florence. So we were literally right in that area in Florence on the bank of the Arno, and we know like there's a lot of restaurants and bistros. So like it could have been any number of them.
Yeah. I'm just thinking like Batman or like Bruce Wayne sitting there every day with Selena Kyle.
And she's like, I'm tired of this place.
I'm tired of this restaurant. Can we go somewhere else? It's gonna be amazing. Watch, just wait. But yeah, but you know.
And speaking of that, like end scene where Bruce Wayne is alive, I wish that they didn't make it so explicit that he was alive. I wish it was more like Inception, where it's like, are they not? You know what I mean? Like they really set it up. So basically, the plane that Bruce Wayne takes to take the bomb out of the radius of the city. Prior to that, they had set up that the autopilot wasn't working and that the engineer couldn't figure out how to fix the autopilot, but he said maybe a brighter mind like yourself can fix it. And so Bruce Wayne was like, okay, cool. I thought that was like enough setup.
Yeah.
Where they could be like,
is he alive?
Is he alive? Is he not alive? But like they straight up say like, oh, someone fixed the autopilot.
And it was Bruce Wayne.
And Bruce Wayne took his mother's pearls with him off the premises of the mansion. Oh, so then you're like, oh, this really is Bruce Wayne. He actually is alive. Whereas, like, it would have been nice to be, like, a little bit of intrigue, mystery, especially because this is the final in the series.
Yeah, but again, it's all about, you know, Hollywood nowadays. Show, or tell, you know, just give it to them, you know.
Show versus tell.
Yeah. Oh, hello.
Oh, look who it is. Making
our dog,
a little
Baron.
visit. You want to say hi?
I think that's his first appearance in our podcast.
It is. He's made a lot of noise prior to this, but his first time saying hi.
Despite all the bad things, and you know, there's some more stuff we could list, but there were some good things about this movie that I genuinely did enjoy.
A lot of good quotes.
Yeah, so let's start off with like the very first fight between Bane and Batman. Best scene in the entire movie. Right, you know, they're fighting, you know, there's all these great lines, there's all these great shots.
And a great fight, too.
Yeah, great
the choreography was
the choreography was great. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, that scene right there was amazing, right? And then when he blows up the ceiling and it's Bruce Wayne's armory, right? And it's just like, oh my god.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a letdown, because that was the best scene in the movie.
Yeah, that was the best scene in the movie. It was so early, too.
Yeah, it was so early. Like the first maybe 20-30 minutes, right?
Yeah. No, not that early. Maybe like definitely 45? In the first hour. First hour, definitely. I don't know exactly what.
It's what 2 hour 45-minute movie, right?
Yeah, almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, when Bane goes down the chain.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
Oh my god. Oof. Man.
Makes you want to wish you.
Every guy was like, oh. It was like certain scenes with that one. There's one like Captain America is like pulling in the helicopter.
Yeah.
There's certain scenes just like oof.
Gets ya.
Just gets you. That's one of them.
Gets you going.
Something else that I really liked about the movie is how it tied back to the first movie. I thought it did a really good job of doing that.
I liked that it tied back to it. Miranda / Natalia being Ra's al Ghul's daughter, but I don't like that she's like finishing her father's mission.
Yeah, that was a little.
That was a ridiculous plot.
Yeah, it was a little forced, and but just the fact that how they brought it back.
Yeah. Like I said, I like that it's like the interconnected storyline.
Yeah, even the way Gordon realizes that Bruce Wayne is Batman. You know, because that's a scene, very small scene from the very first movie. You know, you don't remember that. Yeah, I didn't remember that when I saw it the first time. And then, you know, when they showed the flashback, I was like, wait a minute. And then I resaw Batman Begin, and I was like, oh my god. Let's see. Also another thing I really appreciated. Same thing with The Dark Knight, is the fact that this movie still remembered that it was a comic book.
Still has
comic book
fun moments.
It still has fun moments, right? When Bruce Wayne goes out for the first time and gets his car stolen, Alfred comes, picks him up, and says, don't worry, Master Wayne, it takes time to get back into the swing of things. But, something I love, like, Alfred just canonically...
Always razzles.
Very sassy.
Yeah.
I remember this one scene from the animated series, I believe it was the animated series. Bruce Wayne, Batman comes back, and Alfred's like, I drew you a bath, sir. Oh, thank you, Alfred. He gets to the tub, and there's nothing there, right? And he turns around, Alfred, and Alfred has, like, a picture of a bathtub.
So cute.
Yeah, so, like I said, what else? When Catwoman disappears on him, Batman says, so that's what it feels like,
I like that Catwoman has her little goggles, and when she flips it up, she gets a little kitty.
Yeah, that was a good, nice touch.
Very cute.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it doesn't have to be so explicit, a character design that's not, like, super derivative.
Yeah. Kind of steering away from, the good things. Watching this movie, especially now, 10 years later, Bane's kind of message of eat the rich, honestly kind of makes a lot more sense more and more as we go along in society.
So putting context further in the future, whoever's watching this, this is January, almost February of 2022, 2 years after the start of the pandemic, and the rich have gotten exponentially richer. The richest 10 people in the world have increased their personal wealth by double since the pandemic. And the middle class and the poor are getting poorer and more disenfranchised. And, it's crazy because, in 2012, the similar problems, right? But it's just gotten worse and worse. And, the sentiments of, fuck the rich is just that much stronger.
Yeah. So if anyone's looking to sponsor this podcast, you rich people out there, I don't need your money.
But I'll take it. You ever seen the drawing of Iron Man and Batman throwing money at each other?
Yeah, and the Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's picking it up.
I always think of that scene from The Simpsons when, Mo, he gets a check for $100,000. From the Homer boxing episode, and Mo's like, I don't need your stinking money. He folds the check and puts it in his pocket.
Actually, it's something that I didn't realize the first time around, but I realized the second time around, is there's a lot of references to Tale of Two Cities.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until you added it to the notes.
So there's a small scene, it's easily missable, where Bane is knitting a paracord rope. And it's in reference to a character in Tale of Two Cities who knits a lot. And it's been confirmed it's not just off theory, but also talking about killing off the bourgeoisie, eat the rich kind of thing. And when Bruce Wayne dies and they do the eulogy, they do the whole, it is a far, far better thing that I do than I have ever done. It is a far, far better sleep or rest that I go to than I have ever known. That famous final line in Tale of Two Cities. And I was like, wow, that's an interesting story to parallel.
Yeah. So that was something that was really well done when you brought it up, and I was thinking about it and I realized it. My favorite Charles Dickens book, I believe.
It's the only one I've ever read.
Yeah. But yeah, I really did enjoy that as well.
And it's just a beautiful line, that final. When that French guy chooses to, or English guy? I don't remember. When he chooses to sacrifice his life.
Yeah, it was Frenchman. It was during the French Revolution.
Yeah. But the guy that was getting murdered was his doppelganger,
yeah.
Who was the French person. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on.
Let's see.
We'll do a little trivia. You want to talk about that masquerade scene?
Yeah. So fun trivia. Bruce Wayne, when he goes to a masquerade for a fundraiser, and he is not wearing a mask at the masquerade. Everyone else has a mask on except him. And the reason for that is he believes that Batman is actually his true identity, and Bruce Wayne is the mask. And, you know, when he's dancing with Selena Kyle, she even asks him, "Who are you supposed to be?" And he goes, "Bruce Wayne, eccentric billionaire." Right? You know, because he truly believes that Bruce Wayne isn't who he is. So that's why he has no mask on.
Who else is unmasked in this scene?
So there is Natalia, right? So she has the mask on initially, but she does take it off. And, you know, she's talking with Bruce Wayne, yada yada. You know, showing
the only other unmasked character in the scene.
Yep.
Because she's masking as Miranda Tate.
Yep.
Her true identity is Ra's al Ghul's daughter, Natalia.
Yeah, so fun little tidbits for those who like to hear that part of the podcast.
I saw another tidbit.
What's up?
When they unravel the Batman statue, and they show it from above, the spectators that are in the courtyard are sat in a smiley face as a nod to the Joker.
Oh.
It's a memorial to the Joker.
Interesting.
So if you look, so it's Batman statue in the center, and then there's like two crowds of people, and then one large crowd of people as a smiley face. So that was interesting. I didn't realize until I saw it. So this movie has lots of memorable quotes. Do you want to go over your favorite ones?
Yeah. Again, that whole fight scene between Batman and Bane, the very first one, just almost every line from that scene is so
iconic, memorable.
You know, oh, you think darkness is your ally. You know, you merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man, and by then it was nothing to me but blinding.
A great quote.
And, you know, another one, yes, I was wondering what would break first, your spirit or your body, right? And he breaks his back. That's actually a nod, fun, another trivia. That's a nod to, I forget which issue of Batman, specifically, when Batman and Bane fight, and the cover is actually that scene when Batman is breaking, Batman's back on the cover. So that's why that scene was in there. It was a nod to that. Would you like to go?
Obviously there's the one that we talked about earlier at the very beginning of the film. No one cared who I was until I put on the mask. And that one's a really long quote that you put. Yeah,
just, you know that quote when Bane takes him first to jail, or the prison, and, talking about, there's a reason why this prison is the worst hell on earth. And then, that whole quote, and then towards the end, when it is done and Gotham is ashes, then you have my permission to die. Right? Another very famous quote. Like I said, I'm just thinking of more quotes from that fight, I am the League of Shadows, and like I said, there's so many, line, but anyway.
I had to laugh when they did the Alfred. I failed you.
You trusted me, and I failed you.
The first time I saw it, I thought that he was talking to Bruce, but it's so obvious he was talking to Martha and.
Yeah.
What's the father's name?
Tom Wayne. Yeah, I believe it's
Tom.
Martha and Tom.
No.
You know what? Let's look this up. Okay. Batman parents. Oh, Thomas. Well, Thomas and Martha. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I was right, Tom. And then last but not least, of course, basara, basara, dish, dish, rise. So.
What does it mean? It means rise. Hence, I love it when they say the title
in the movies
of a movie in the movie, and I'm like, ah!
They said it!
They said it! It's my favorite.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but with that said, do you have any other final thoughts, comments, or concerns?
That's it. That's everything I had to say about Batman Rises.
Yeah.
Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight Rises.
I'm excited to see Robert Pattinson's depiction of Batman. I think he seems to be much more of like that broody type.
Like I said, I try to hold judgment for actors and director, whoever creating movies off very iconic characters.
I think the Riddler is the main villain.
Yeah, I believe
one.
so. Yeah, Riddler's the main villain.
Which I think he's a really cool character, so
Yeah.
excited.
Yeah, like I said though, Ben Affleck's though. That was the worst Batman in all the Batmans.
The worst?
The worst. I can't think of anyone who was
What
worse.
about who's the guy that's married to the lawyer and UN counselor?
George Clooney?
George Clooney.
He
He's
was-
pretty awful.
He was bad, but Ben Affleck's was worse. George Clooney is the second to worst Batman. Ben Affleck is the worst.
George Clooney's Batman was definitely like a product of like the 90s and like the overacting and the ridiculousness and like before they knew how to depict a cartoon or a comic character.
Even Adam West was better. That was way back then.
Well, that was campy and fun and like, I don't know. Well,
Holy
anyway.
smokes, Batman.
So, like I said, we had already seen 12 Angry Men, so we're going to hopefully do another episode within the coming days for that one. And then after that will be Schindler's List.
Yes.
Another long one.
Yeah. You have not seen Schindler's List.
I have seen it.
Oh, you have seen it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have too. So, I mean, it's been a while, so it'll be interesting.
So 12 Angry Men was actually the first film that we'd seen in our list that neither of us had seen.
I read the play.
Okay. That counts. I'm going to say that counts.
Yeah, I read the play. Yeah, and we can dive into that during the next podcast.
Yeah.
But that will be our next episode. And as Maral said, hopefully in the next couple of days, since we've already seen it. Yeah, but anything else? Oh, before I forget, I would like to say thank you to our new sponsor. We do have a sponsor. It is Bakery Park, a small bakery, actually created by Maral.
Very small bakery.
Yeah. You can find the links to the bake shop in the description below. So if you're interested in some pies,
Maybe next time we'll be eating pie while
yes, I
reviewing.
can honestly say it's the best pie I've ever had in my life.
And it's not just because he's my husband.
Yeah. I don't pull punches like that.
No.
If she made bad pies, I would tell her to her face, you make bad pies.
He absolutely
But-
would. Happily tell me.
Yeah. Like, you can put me in front of any director or actor that I do not like, or like if they have something they did bad in, I will straight up tell them to their face, you were terrible and XYZ. I ain't afraid.
He ain't afraid of no ghosts.
Sure?
Ghostbusters?
Oh, Ghostbusters. Alright, well, with that said, this has been Cupcakes and Hot Takes with Maral and John.
I'm Maral.
And I'm John.
Hope you have a great night. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.